definitely come up on this Battleground Dreadnought because it's Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Yeah, and this is based on what we've been saying, not we, mainly I've been saying here on Theory Crafting as the series comes through with the wave clear advantage and how much I think that actually is very, very important for Octalysis to be successful. That gets drastically bigger on a battleground like this. But at the same time, I wonder, does that, because the battleground incentivizes wave clear, is that going to allow Freedom to pick up enough that it's not going to be a concern? I think, you know, much like the Zool, that has got to be a focus. I think Johanna is very much going to be a go-to for the other two. Maybe a Junkrat, but for me, Junkrat's health pool is so low that I'd rather the Zool or the Johanna being the wave clear here.
I think when I look at this draft, first thing I have to look at, who picked the Battleground, and Octalysis picked it, which means they'll only have 2 picks before the second ban.
Yeah.
They have rarely ever committed to an early Zool. It's normally like, we'll pick something like a Yrel Tyrande, something very standard in their first 2 picks, and then come up with the flexibility. But this is a map where they've played the Diva. We know they can play Maiev on this. So it's, even if you first ban Zool, there are other options which they play within. And I think you got to be very careful if you're Team Freedom on what you're banning. And if you are deciding on taking one element of that away, that gives you a chance in your draft to prepare for that. But what Octalysis has shown us is that even when you think you have it figured out, here's another little surprise.
One of the things that I think that they displayed already within the series, that if I'm Team Freedom, I go, if they're in the second pick slot and they go with the Yrel Tyrande, let's say, right? And that they don't go with the Zool. If I ban out the Zool, I'm expecting Justin to move over to the primary Leo as a primary warrior, and that I'm not going to have that offlane. I think they already showed that in the fact that they were willing to pick that in game number 1 in that Mephisto competition. So knowing that he is going to value wave clear, and as long as it's somebody who just doesn't get one shot by, you know, a majority of heroes, that is going to be the thought process, I think, here for Justin. Unless they commit a completely different route, right? Where it's Octalysis going in an avenue we've never seen before.
Maybe to an opponent they felt they had an advantage over, but Justin did run that Butcher. It's a one-off pick. There are several heroes that I can see both these teams picking. This is Tomb of the Spider Queen, different heroes, different wave clear priorities. Whether we get the Diablo let through will be another question. Team Freedom will not be letting Medivh through.
Hammer? Man, I'm a genius.
However,
oh my goodness.
Did you know?
How did I know that Octalysis would ban Hammer in the first slot? I was going to say Abathur, but then I realized it was Tomb. Yrel, major deviation
armor
here.
The armor that Yrel has provided.
But on that theory I just had before, on the theory about the Zool versus the Leo, this raises a lot in priority if the Blaze is not the go-to, which, by the way, I wouldn't even put that past as the world of options.
You know what I'm not going to put past? I just had an epiphany here, and it's not kerosene. We've seen Justin play the Diva last year. We've seen him bust it out this year. But there's somebody on the other side that also plays the Diva, and he goes by the name of Nasmus. Wonder if there's going to be any point of, you can't play it because I'm playing it.
It'll be interesting to see if that happens. I will say I really struggled still to support Tomb of the Spider Queen Diva. It's like one of my most difficult because of how little wave clear there exists and how much is around the wombo of the mecha from her. But it'll be cool to see if it does end up becoming a problem as we get the double support.
Wow.
White main Tyrande here from Octalysis.
So you can conceivably fit anybody into this composition now. Any hero that you want to play the warrior role.
Yeah. View it like this. I don't care about warriors anymore. I have the survivability. Everybody's a warrior. View it like this. I have to get wave clear because I don't have it otherwise, and I'm going to make up for that in my quote-unquote warrior role. So take the Johanna. Brilliant play. You're going to ban out the Zool in the next phase here, I'm expecting for Freedom. But I'm not kidding. I think it's going to be the Leo or the Blaze in the offlane, and it's just going to be watch my Blaze or Leo get the clear.
Asmodan.
An Asmodan tank. Yeah, that could be it too. It's scary here.
I think the one thing is that Justin always knows he's in 100% agreement on that wave clear round. Everything that he's ever played has the wave clear.
Yep.
Blaze, he has wave clear.
They're going to Leo.
But they've targeted Yrel and Blaze. So if you go Leo, are you willing to commit to a Dahaka? Because Yrel and Blaze both have hard CC options. Dahaka is more of a skill shot with your drag. Blaze and Yrel a little more AoE-centric, more control-centric. You're now limiting yourself to single areas.
There's a world where I don't hate Tyrande in that avenue. But I guess we got the Zool available too. I forgot about that
Tyrande?
with the Blaze.
Yeah, we got the Tyrande.
Or excuse me, not the Tyrande. What did I mean to say? No, I was just talking about the Zool. I don't have any idea where you're coming from now.
Oh, you said Tyrande.
Whatever I said, I meant a different hero, and you got so excited that I forgot what I was going to say. Is what I was going to say. Something about the offlaner here. The Leo, some reference to that. And all I was going to say is because we got the Blaze, we get the Zool instead of the Leo I was questioning out before from them. We get the Greymane and a Gul'dan. Interesting choice to be able to see the Gul'dan, but it is one of the immediate responses most people had to deal with the double support meta. Horrify is very hard to sustain through when you're just running away from your support targets.
We need somebody for Goku, Leo, Dahaka. Seem reasonable options to play the solo lane role and give you at least something with control.
They go for the Dahaka here. Normally, I would say I like the Leo more, but anybody who's had to deal with the Leo versus Gul'dan matchup, you realize that you're like, wow, I sustained into the Gul'dan okay, but his actual ridiculous amount of dot damage over time, even if I'm hitting Drain Hopes, he actually wins that war most of the time, especially with Echo Corruption being completed.
The one thing that always worries me about these style of compositions with a Zool, they don't have Ancient Blessings for the burst potential for autos.
Yeah.
You've got Tyrande, Lunar Flare's gonna hit, Mark's gonna hit. That's a nice chunk of damage. Zool will land that. But Raynor doesn't exactly act like the executioner of the composition to where it's like, all right, I've got a target, I can just burst them down. It doesn't really work that way with Raynor. It's a lot of sustain. Your Inspire helps, but only momentarily with some damage. I really worry about executing when they do get the lockdown. They still control a lot in the waves, but then all of a sudden I see Johanna Gul'dan on the other side. It's like, we're just going to be matched in waves or out-rotated the other way.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think that they rely so heavily on the macro oppression that's going to apply after the first web weaver phase when they get a lead, that they go, that makes up for a lot of maybe those kind of conundrums that may exist throughout that middle stages here.
We're underway, game number 4. Octalysis up 2-1 over Team Freedom, taking games number 2 and 3. Team Freedom struggled in the last one. We'll try their hands here at Tomb of the Spider Queen with a very well-rounded composition.
See the Iron Skin commitment at 1 from Johanna. Looking to be a little bit more able to handle the Tyrande pressure here.
He knows that he still is in vision, so he has some fun there.
Still not got to see the level 1 pickup here from Greymane. Usually it's either viciousness or I forgot the other terminology there as we see the Iron Skin or use Goku can drag as we see the penetrating round. Zugrug is out of here. That's got to be first blood over to Octalysis.
That is not how I saw that playing out. Not in a million worlds as we see the Team 12 spray going down there. A reminder in case you didn't hear it during our first series and you're joining us here for the second, this is the last weekend you can purchase those sprays for part 2. So get your team sprays in, support your favorite team, get your favorite spray, get your HGC banners, whatever it is you want. It will be there available for your in-game. You can get that through the cheer system here for the HGC.
Lane control still in favor of Octalysis due to that level 1 laning situation, and that is a very big concern for Freedom because they very much want to snowball this game a little bit out of control. Quite a few Echo Corruption stacks being able to be picked up there by Lutano.
That slow helps a lot, Dread.
It does. The synergy there between Deckard and Gul'dan, especially with the Sapphire pickup at 1, going to be something we have to keep an eye on through this game as it moves on, but Tyrande's a little bit aware there. Traded with that spell armor is going to really limit how much that Gul'dan can do as time goes on.
Goku will do his best to keep the lane under his towers, just missing the drag there onto Nasmus.
One really cool thing that we see come to light in this game is up until 20, the goal is going to be Lutano baits the Aegis and then he horrifies before it goes off. Once 20 hits, he just pre-cleanses it with the AoE Scarlet Aegis upgrade. I'm not kidding. I think you wait for the animation of the purple circle above, go ahead and Aegis and be like, all right, Fortify, what's that?
It's funny you bring that up. I was playing with Biggie a few weeks ago when he was on Whitemane. He said he talked to Zalia, and he said Zalia said you're not a real support unless you can full team cleanse with a Whitemane on that. We were playing a Gul'dan against that. He's like, wait, everybody group up. And it's like level 20-something on Dragonshire. He's just trying to land it. I was the only one that got horrified. He's like, no, that's not how it's supposed to work. So according to Zalia, you're not a full support yet, Biggie, until you get that full team cleanse.
And it's something that may be needed here for Octalysis throughout this game. Spuds on that Whitemane. Zugrug is going to go ahead and find him with the Condemn, but not too much follow-up here as Freedom just trying to restore balance in the lane control.
Rejuve Potion Dreadnought will help out Gul'dan, who sacrifices his life for mana. And your Rejuve, you get some bonus health, but you also get that mana in that department to maybe double up. So the trade out will work there.
I like it. I like it quite a bit as a talent, especially with some of the shielding adjustments that have come in over time. But with the Gul'dan specifically, not having to risk health, it debatably gives them more health than the shield itself would. Sometimes we see that paired with the, excuse me, I was going to say Emerald, but that's not even true, as that's on the same talent here. 30 gems here available for Octalysis, though. See if they can turn those in, as they already have quite a few assembled. But Freedom in the downtime did pick up their Night Camp. It's usually in this time frame where you see the Night Camp pressuring out that you would expect to get that Web Weaver phase in. Great Lunar Flare from Draded, but the Scrollless Ceiling should be there. Enough damage coming through. And that is a kill here for Freedom, but it comes at a cost as that Bone Prison goes down. And another kill here for Octalysis.
That Bone Armor burst damage, it's not easy to see in the clumped up side there. I think he was dead no matter what, but he got that burst damage in. As you could see that pop, Zugrug trying to get some gems turned in, unable to do so. 13 away for Octalysis as Justin will deal with the remnants of this Night Camp in the mid lane.
Interrupt coming through here for Freedom. Dahaka has that opportunity to start the turn in on bottom. Nasmus is going to look for the interrupt onto Goku. See where Zul goes after this middle clear, because that is going to be the biggest indicator as we see an attempt there at actually really good synergy between the penetrating round Lunar Flare.
It's like you put the Lunar Flare there, I'll knock him back there.
If that hits on a target like Lutano in the late stages, that might just be game, because that gives 2 free autos plus an increased damage output from Prismat there, as we see Goku able to turn in Web Weaver phase here for Octalysis through bottom.
All right. We're not quite there yet, but is there any case, I know you can get a lot of frontline lockdown, horrifying control, but is there any case that we see Zugrug try his hand at maybe a falling sword against the immobile line of Octalysis?
I don't mind, honestly, it whatsoever. I feel like Johanna in general, I'm not so sold on one direction or another when it comes to
nice
heroics.
drag.
It was a real big drag there. Zugrug got to eat a Bone Prison in a couple seconds. 19 gems left on the floor here. Up Tomb of the Spider Queen. And J-Ho, that is a massive setback here. Freedom is doing their best to rid of this Web Weaver phase as fast as possible with an inverse approach to the typical defense, going for the off-lane defenses, sacrificing the mid lane, but getting a kill in the downtime. That is colossal here for Octalysis.
Watch this XP spike when the sport goes down. This is where early game Tomb of the Spider Queen snowballs happen. Major jump towards that level 10, and that allows you more opportunities to press forward, fight towards level 10, and put the fear into your opponent that you are on the doorstep of 10. And anytime you step up, the closer I get to 10, the closer I am that if you're nearby, I will step forward and execute a fight. So Octalysis, small chance for them to move forward as level 10 rounding. They're also 1 gem away from a back-to-back turn, and if they want to get that this early in the game.
They'll be able to pick that up here, having enough gems now. Early Hyperion here. This should be a downtime to try and get a turn in. Really interesting call here as we see the Lunar Flare come out, Justing with the Skeletal Mages. That's going to wear the tank there out of that fort. But Zugrug comes in with a 3-man Condemn, drops the Iron Skin to wear the Bone Prison. Here we see the Isolation used onto Lutano, the drag afterwards, the Starfall, everything being used here by Octalysis to get the kill. And mission accomplished. They pick it off and pick up the fort.
I want to highlight everything that Octalysis did there. There was a couple of major things that happened. So right there, use your skeletal mages to tank the fort shots. It also got the slow onto Gul'dan. But the Starfall went down because every time it does damage, it gets you the cooldown reduction on your heal. That's the only... Draded was wearing those shots. He's like, guys, this hurts. I got to use this. And so he was getting the procs, getting those healing cooldowns. And so they played that so well as a team, knowing the limits that they could push that composition. And that's the thing about playing under forts. It's dangerous, but when you have that type of composition, you get away with things like that.
Now Web Weavers are here for Team Freedom. In the downtime, able to get that turn in, but Nasmus going to get caught out here. Octalysis is easily going to clear here now over this bottom Web Weaver. Still another 18 seconds for Nasmus to come out, but knowing that that Web Weaver has to deal with the minion wave, really efficient transitions here from Octalysis. Now middle fall victim at their hands. And Jay-How, I think it's no surprise when I tell you top lane is the next stop here for Train Octalysis.
Well, bring it back to the point you made before, is that those gems lost on the side of Team Freedom. Now they're sitting around 35-ish when we come out of here. Maybe a few more at the tail end of this, so right around 40. Octalysis, if they get a turn in and they threaten 13 soon, they start to look at that. But the deficit that Team Freedom has dug themselves with those few kills and the loss of gems is normally one of the hardest things to come back from in Tomb of the Spider Queen. They have the blow-up potential, and to your point of they need to look for the team fights. They need to find that initiative. They have Cursed Bullet. They have the Horrify to counter the Scarlet Aegis. And they're going to find themselves at a talent deficit. Once 13's picked up, Octalysis gets another one. They'll have enough threat to start to push towards that 14.5, 15 mark. And if they have lane control, gives them a chance. Playing around with the drag mechanics. And then get back-to-back turn-ins. It's scary.
Mages. Inevitable end not going to be here, as that is not even available. That talent here yet. The Lunar Flare goes through and the damage is done. Now we see the reveal there as the Horrify was actually popped in the second. Another drag landing onto Collusion, and Goku setting the squad up for 2 more kills here. And now an opportunity for a Web Weaver phase and a boss if Octalysis would like. They're going to clear up the wave first, get those ghouls converted over, and that is the choice.
Who can blame them?
No, at this point, Jay-How, even if this isn't game yet, I think the biggest thing to highlight is that this is going to be, with the Web Weaver phase already 2 forts down and bottom being the easiest, that bottom is only going to get bottom fort, maybe a little damage onto the keep. Top, you're looking at keep, maybe keep and a half. This is Octalysis' game to lose at this point.
Yeah. It's going to be a very clear picture if everything goes as planned for Octalysis. Boss plus Web Weavers coming down Dreadnought, very well timed here. But they get a keep and a half down. They will be threatening 16 to 13, 16 to 14. They'll have another turn in shortly behind that. So the Web Weavers just outside of spawning directly with that.
Yeah, I'm going to say that a little bit more resources onto the wave maybe would have been beneficial here for Octalysis, but it doesn't cost them too much HP. There is Goku, not able to land that drag. Boss and Web Weaver here. Nasmus doing his best to deal with those off-lane Web Weavers. As
Dread, they get 1 pick.
Yeah.
It might be over.
It might be. Prismat, though, taking a bit of damage there. Waiting to question if he can pull the Horrify trigger, as this top keep is going to fall down. And Jay-How, do they go for core?
Wow.
They do.
1 pick is all they need. Justin, there's the Skeletal Mages. Lutano's going to be rooted. The isolation just misses, but it doesn't matter. There's going to be kill number 1. The stay a while and listen. In return, Justin able to stay alive. Zugrug trying to walk away. Zugrug just manages to get in, but the core starting to fall. Shield coming down. Octalysis might be ending this game. 11 minutes in, we're rounding that. That should be enough. Octalysis comes out. Game number 4 and dominates and takes this down. Prismat. Well. I
love it. I'm sorry. I love that. You cannot. Whoo! Throwing a little banter there at that end pause. And Octalysis wins the series 3-1.
You and I have highlighted the dominance that the wins come from with Octalysis. Dreadnought games 3 and 4 were nothing but dominant. This is the Octalysis team. Octalysis beat Tempo Storm in part 2. This will likely have a rematch next weekend during our playoffs, as Octalysis now jumped to the number 3 spot. Octalysis has fallen to the number 4. But Tempo Storm, world-class team, still sits there at number 2. It's almost like we forget there's another team in this equation. Octalysis took down Tempo Storm in a previous series. Next week's playoffs are going to be explosive.
They are, and I think it's even more crazy because when we look at Octalysis and the rise or the fall or whatever you want to look at, it's kind of hard to convey it because at first it came in, it was looking really good. They get the success that they have against teams like Tempo Storm, but then you got to wonder, that was early enough that we're like, we don't really know what they're trying to do. There's so many confusions. Now I don't want to say it's standardized, but we have a general idea of the thought process and approach here from Team Octalysis. And so suddenly it's like, does Tempo look and do what Tempo does against pretty much every team but Heroes Hearth Esports when they know what's coming for their way from Octalysis? And if Octalysis can be this wild on a standard week-to-week, if they get to prep for only 1 to 2 teams, do they look that much more drastic and suddenly have more here in this bag of goodies?
They brought back Prismat, okay? They brought Draded over, and that's the backline duel. An old face in Prismat. They've played with him multiple times in the past for several years now, various teams. They bring in Draded, a diamond in the rough on LFM previously, one of the better Genji players. That's how he kind of started to stand out, but the talent is there. They come out in phase number 2, and it's nothing but question marks for weeks of we're still figuring out our team. We're still figuring out our team. It was enough to get to the Western Clash. They go to the Western Clash, mixed results. But then, ever since they got into these specific roles, Prismat has been a man unleashed.
Yeah.
Unleashed Dreadnought to carry this team. Like, there's a whole lot going on, a whole lot of wild stuff, but this individual is doing a lot for his team, and it's fortunate for us. We actually get to talk to the man, Prismat. You guys come out, an interesting comp in game number 1. Didn't quite work out for you, but beyond that, about midway through game number 2, through the final game number 4, you were a dominant team. What was the wake-up call after that game number 1?
I think, honestly, the first game, we just had a really long wait after our warm-up, so because the first series went really long, so we just weren't really warmed up for that game. We weren't 100% awake, 100% ready to play. So that game, we basically lost the game at like a minute 30 seconds. They got a level lead off the first turret. Then for the first shrine, they had 2 turrets and a health pack. The game was just done. Then they had like a 2-level lead. The game was just completely over. So, but that was a wake-up call for us. We refocused. We came back. The Mephisto wasn't amazing. I don't think it was the reason we lost that game, but there probably would have been better heroes to pick. But we woke up, we played our solid drafts, and we just won.
Well, everything that you guys are picking, it seems to be working outside of that draft. You continue to improvise. You continue to do a lot. I don't know if you caught the tail end of that, but your play, the Greymane play on Infernal Shrines, when you track down that Tracer, I thought there's no way. There's no way he's going for it. And you picked that level 13 talent, which I didn't see at first, but you seem to be possessed in like, I'm willing to take risk that we might not have seen before. Do you feel like this is the best play you've ever had? I mean, where is your mindset out right now, given how well your team has been performing?
I think overall my play style, let's just go back like 3 months or something to the start of this team. We're not playing double support, so there's another DPS player. There's like a different meta, and I don't play to really make like the flashy plays. I play to be consistent. And now when we're running double support and I'm the one on the damage dealer, then I have to be the one making those plays. And it's also a lot easier to make those plays when you just have 2 supports behind you making you invincible. So I think that's the big difference. You
realize you had like no supports following you there though, right? Like that was a Prismat play by yourself.
Yeah, we had the Tyrande went out, so I had perfect vision on the enemy team. I saw Tracer was in the bush, and I was chasing her, and then I saw Diablo a little bit behind her, and there was nobody else there from the enemy team. And I told my team that I was chasing her, and they were coming up behind.
It was fun to watch, nonetheless. I'm going to give you to Dread.
Prismat here. I got to go ahead and ask, when looking towards a little bit more towards that first draft, you talked about the Mephisto feeling like it's not so much onto him. I want to ask, do you feel he is one of the few mages and heroes that can apply as that hyper carry within the mage avenue?
Probably not, to be honest.
Okay.
I think he can't be the solo DPS. He's really bad at focusing a single target, and he's really bad at doing consistent damage. He's sort of like a Chromie, where he can bring the heroes low, but he can't finish them off, except that all of his damage is AoE instead of being single target like Chromie, and she has temporal loop and stuff like that to be able to set up solo kills. So he's really inconsistent, but when he does go off, he can like solo carry a team fight, but it's not always going to happen.
Kind of like that in a vacuum ideal situation, be that, God hand, if you will, in certain situations there. And now I got to ask, you know, with the banter of the pre-interview that we got between you guys and the pause going afterwards, not going to ask so much about that as much as it is going into next weekend, that this could possibly, you know, be a matchup that we see once again with the playoffs here. And, you know, do you have any words here to fans or even Freedom more so going into that?
I think we showed that we're ready to beat Freedom. We're better than them, and that overall, like, they blacklisted us for when we started drafting this kind of meta, this like Zool specifically, a month and a half ago or so, and we just showed them that they were wrong. They're the ones that are lost out on not being able to scrim against us, and we're going to beat them in the playoffs now.
I'm not going to lie, you know, I think I started equally on the doubting side of it, but I'm slowly but surely getting converted over there, Prismac. Congrats on the win. I'm going to give you back to jail.
Well, Prismat, speaking of converting, you guys started to convert a lot of L's into a lot of W's as the Part 2s come out. It's been a matter of you're changing your draft, you're playing what you play. But what other dynamic? I mean, yes, the drafts help, but your play, the way that you guys are rotating, the decisions that you're making, it seems crisper, it seems better, everything's there. What else would you say has really been, you know, one of the bigger improvements since we've come back from the Clash?
I think the mentality of not hiding strats is really helpful, where before when we're trying to hide strats, we're like half practicing standard meta stuff and then half practicing our weird picks, and then we have to hide those picks against specific teams, and then we have to decide, are we going to show our strats against them or not, and then play stuff that we've only half practiced. And overall, that really hurts the mentality. Another thing is just that when we went to Western Clash, after we finished there, we really saw that if we were better as a team, we could have gotten a really high placing there. There was a big opportunity for us, and just overall we solidified our mentality going into towards BlizzCon to really being focused and trying to do well for that.
Well, you guys are on one heck of a trajectory to see. Next week's playoffs are going to be fire. I can't wait to see what you guys have prepared. Prismat, I'm going to give you the chance for some optimal shoutouts.
All right, shoutouts to the Octalysis group, our sponsor, and shoutouts to my team. We tried the Mephisto. They're not that happy with it, and honestly, after coming in the next patch, he's never gonna be picked again. So, but other than that, we came back from that one bad loss, and we just stomped them.
Congrats, Prismat. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Well, Dreadnought, we've had a lot of talk about the playoffs, and for you guys wondering when that is, it's next Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, so our usual time will be here. Don't forget, EU has a slightly different schedule since they had a second team qualify by way of Dignitas winning the Western Clash. I believe they start at 11 a.m. Pacific. I don't know the European time. I think somewhere around 12. I don't even. But either way, we're focused on NA here. We've got the Pacific time, so we'll 2 p.m. Pacific next Friday. We'll kick things off, and we've got the ladder system in place. We have a slightly different structure since we have an additional team, which means we get an extra series for that. A lot of people are looking at the top 3 teams, Team Freedom, Octalysis, Tempo Storm, Endemic. If they can get things together, maybe run. LFM will be there as well the following week in the Crucible. We've got a lot of action going away. Dread, last thoughts here. This is week number 10. We're done with regular play. It's time for the real show.
Going into next weekend, my final thoughts after what we've seen so far is Tempo Storm. You've been the most successful roster in North America, organization in North America, but right now it is looking like Octalysis is gunning for that second representative in North America. And then also, we get to see, I would not be surprised if we walk away from the playoffs and you say LFM plays higher in North American seeding than even Endemic.
It's going to be fun to watch. We expect to see you guys there. It's going to be a fun one. Next week's playoffs will kick off. Until then, we'll see you in the Nexus.